I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A, and roll A, check in.
Go, Dr. Phil.
We're talking about something called cyberbullying, and it has become rampant on the internet. Tina Meyer's 13-year-old daughter Megan committed suicide last year after a cyber hoax that she says was apparently initiated by their neighbor Lori Drew. Now, Tina is working towards an anti-cyber bully law. Senator Scott Rupp, state senator of Missouri, proposed legislation on December 1st against cyberbullying. Now, Larry Walters is also here, and Larry is a First Amendment lawyer, and he really believes in free speech on the internet, even though it can be awfully painful. Now, before we go on, I want to read an excerpt from the Drew family statement about this, and I'd like you to respond to it. We're going to put the entire statement on the website. This is an excerpt. Lori Drew did not create nor direct anyone to create the Josh Evans MySpace account. Although she was aware of the account, Lori Drew never sent any messages to Megan or to anyone else using this MySpace account. What's your response to her denial about this?
Well, first of all, we have a police report that Lori Drew gave the police officer on November the 25th, 2006. That was a police officer that she contacted. She called to her house and gave the statement. It reads, Drew said that she, with the help of temporary employee named Ashley, constructed a profile of a good-looking male on MySpace in order to find out what Megan was saying online about her daughter. Drew explained the communication between the fake male profile and Megan was aimed at gaining her confidence and finding out what Megan felt about her daughter and other people. Drew stated that she, her daughter, and Ashley all typed, read, and monitored the communications between the fake male profile and Megan. So she seems to say, at least as reported in this police report, and we have the actual document, that she was involved, but she now has a statement saying that she didn't create it and she didn't participate in it. How many people on death row do the same thing? People can change things all the time. I mean, I could do the same thing.
You want to stop this, Senator, correct?
That is correct.
How do you stop this without trampling on First Amendment rights?
Well, we know that we are here and we have a problem, and we know where we want to go. And we talk to people like Mr. Walters and those prosecutors and say, what tools do you need if you are in a courtroom and something similar happens again? What tools do you need to get a conviction? And that's what we try to do, is to write a state law that encompasses that. So if this happens again, those responsible can be held responsible.
Any law that restricts the content of speech implicates First Amendment concerns. And I'm afraid that if you go too far, you know, a situation like this can result in people saying there ought to be a law, we got to do something about this. And lawmakers, well-intentioned as though they may be, write laws that tend to be overbroad on occasion and restrict otherwise legitimate speech.
Okay, but you have defended people. You have defended people who have been accused of putting offensive things on the internet. Would you defend Lori Drew?
Would I defend Lori Drew? Well, as a private lawyer, I get to pick and choose my cases. I probably would not. But there are significant First Amendment issues raised by a law that would restrict free speech. There are ways to do this, though. There are ways to do this if you tie the activity to some sort of recognized crime, like assault or harassment. You just can't go too far so as to restrict free speech and free expression on the internet. The courts are going to throw it out, and that's the last thing you want.
And you, of course, understand she isn't the least bit concerned about that at this point. She's got somebody that she believes down the street that she believes got involved in setting her daughter up and basically abusing her on the internet, mentally and emotionally abusing her and pushing her to the point that she couldn't cope with it anymore. Shouldn't there be some way for that to be, for those people to be held accountable?
I think there is. I think, frankly, a civil jury could hold those people accountable through some sort of civil claim for emotional distress or wrongful death.
Have you considered filing a lawsuit against these people? Because there are torts available for intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Great, wonderful. You can do a civil suit, but then you're talking about the money situation. I could care less about a dime from them. I don't want their money. Bottom line is, criminally, something needs to be done.
Okay, I want to keep talking about this here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to find out what Tina's neighbors say was the reason behind this internet hoax. We'll be right back. Talking about internet bullying today, and it's so important that as parents, you know what your kids are doing on the internet. In this situation, Tina so controlled what was going on. She had passwords that her daughter didn't have, so they had to be involved if she got on the internet. And still, these people were able to get to her daughter, Megan, who, after being inundated with negative name-calling and accusations and slamming on the internet, tragically committed suicide as a product of that harassment. The harasser was a fake boy, Josh Evans, who her family claims now was an adult neighbor, daughter, and friends that came together to attack her in this way. The question is, what do you do about that? I mean, and now they're, of course, denying it. Christine, Tina's best friend, lives next door to Lori Drew. Why do you think this happened? I mean, did she ever talk to you about this before it became such an issue as a neighbor?
No. I had discussions with her about her daughter and Megan and their little bickering back and forth, but never about the fake MySpace.
But you think that she was jealous that Megan had new friends and had kind of moved on in her life and cut off her relationship with her daughter, which had been contentious?
I absolutely believe that. I think that she was 100% jealous of Megan and went to go out and get her back.
Normally, you know what I would do right now? I would be saying that the parents of bullies are responsible for their child's bullying, that they should monitor them, they should know if their child's being bullied, and they should know if their child is a bully. I would be calling on the parents to get involved and pay attention to what their kids are doing. But in this situation, the mother is allegedly involved in the bullying. Of course, she denies it, but you believe it to the core of your soul, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the thing is, even if she's denying it now, she's still stating that, yes, she knew that it was a fake MySpace. She knew that it was a boy. She knew that her daughter was sending messages. So she's still stating those facts, but she's pulling herself away from the rest of it.
What's the crux of your law that will deal with this? What's it basically going to say?
If you are going to harass someone, we need to make sure that our laws have kept up with technology. Government moves very slow, and a lot of times we are reactive when things happen. So we need to look at how new technology is fitting in with our current harassment, bullying, stalking laws and things of that nature. So I think we can draft a law that does say if this were to happen again, you are going to be held liable for stalking, harassment, and we just need to find the right verbiage that stands up in a court of law.
As a public figure, it's a much higher standard for me to retaliate against someone that's publishing lies about me, which they do every single day, 365 days a year, in these ridiculous tabloids and blogs and stuff like that. Oh my God, it's just, they get more creative all the time. But we're talking about an innocent child here. Someone has invaded their home. And that's a different issue, wouldn't you agree?
Well, we do bring the world into our home when we turn on the internet, and that's something that we as a society are just learning to come to grips with. We have actually a right to anonymous speech in this country. We don't have to provide our identity in order to speak. So
yeah, but
those
that's
are
different. I
some
mean, but that is different than some gutless coward who hides behind some sort of hidden identity in order to attack somebody. I mean, if you come knock on the door and say, hey, it's me and I think you're A, B, and C, then that's one thing. I mean, I can punch you in the nose if I want to, or I can sue you, I can do whatever. But when you're so gutless, you're such a coward that you won't sign the letter, you won't be who you are, you won't stand up for it, then, I mean, it seems to me that brings up some really different issues.